Colbert versus Rayo.
Yeah,
What were your thoughts about the fight and then the decision? Do you think it was
yeah,
warranted?
yeah. So prime time in El Rayo. I can speak to it a little bit. I'm gonna defer to you in this segment, but just a little bit of background for the people out there. I had like a major party this weekend, so it was just a lot going on. Then we ordered the fight at my house, but just to jump into the fight, um, from what I saw when I was seeing it, of course, I saw the knockdown. I seen him go down. I believe that was the first round. Rayo put him
Mhm.
down, but I seen Rayo as probably the more active fighter. Colbert was getting some good counters in, but Rayo got some good flurries off. At times, he had Colbert maybe stunned or hurt, or maybe just back into a corner where he didn't really know what his next move was. So I thought he was dictating the activity. I seen Rayo get a little wild. Sometimes he was swinging, and I'm like, "Whoa, you're way out of reach! Like, what are you doing?" You know what I'm saying? He got a little wild, but I do think he dictated the pace. I think the knockdown could have been a separator because there were some times when Colbert started looking sharp in there with his counters. But if you ask me, I think Rayo did enough to get the win, and I feel kind of bad for him coming out of this one. How about you?
Yeah, I would have to agree. Right, there are some people that says it was a robbery. There are some people, well, more people from what I've seen have surmised that it was a robbery, and then there are some that saying not necessarily a robbery. But the common conclusion is that Rayo should have won the fight, even at the end. During his with the spokes caster initially, he even told him, yeah, that was a terrible decision. So during the fight, first round, Colbert goes down, right?
Mhm.
And that kind of showed that Colbert has a habit of not really moving his head in a line of fire after he swings, right? So he'll throw and then he'll kind of like, and I don't know if it was the left hand or the right hand he threw. I think it was the left hand threw and he got caught with a right, but he'll throw and then amidst him throwing, Rayo just clipped him first, right?
Yeah.
And he has a bad habit of doing that because even with the Hector Garcia fight, he was also getting clipped that same way, right? So, and I don't know if it's because when he gets an inside, he doesn't really respect his opponent's power, or he feels that he could exchange and get the better out of that exchange. I'm not sure. Definitely things he needs to work on. But of course, after the knockdown, I do commend Colbert for getting back up and kind of pressing the action at certain times. But like you said, Rayo just did enough for me, right?
Mhm.
He was pressing forward. He let off the gas at certain points. He could have stopped Colbert a few times in that fight. And I don't know why, but he was just trying to box him, kind of slip. And I don't know if he got fatigued at certain points. And that's when kind of, Chris Colbert was throwing and hitting him with a jab. I know when I looked at the statistics, the boxing statistics,
Mhm.
and Rayo actually outlanded Chris Colbert by
Okay.
a significant margin from total punches, right? From
Yeah.
body, but just Chris Colbert just out jabbed him, right? But total punches, he got outworked, right?
Yeah.
So, and then if you include the knockdown, I think it's a no-brainer. It's obvious that Rayo should have won that fight. And it's crazy that the judges even went in that direction. I would have been shocked if it was a draw. But the
And
fact that they lean towards Chris Colbert to me is crazy. And now I guess when it comes down to next the foreseeable future for Rayo, it's gonna be rough. I think they may potentially shelf him or they may kind of put him on the back burner and kind of have him like grind his way back. You know what I mean? So
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Chris Colbert actually said that he thinks it was a draw. Like Chris Colbert said that out of his own mouth, he thought it was a draw. Um,
okay.
so yeah, it's
I
real.
definitely missed that.
Yeah, it was real rough on Rayo because coming off of back-to-back losses. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, they could potentially shelf him, but like I said, especially when Chris Colbert said it was a draw, I was like, I don't know. Sometimes you say it's a draw when you kind of lost, someone kind of got the edge
Right.
on you. If
Yeah.
something's like really close, most people are gonna say they won,
Right.
But
Absolutely.
I mean, coming out of that, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really impressed with either fighter.
Hmm.
I don't really see I don't see either one of them having like a crazy upside. Um, I don't think Chris Colbert wants it with Frank Martin. Um,
He
but I
did.
know,
He did say you heard him when he asked him the question about Frank Martin. He said he's going, and he responded to the question by saying, "I'm going down to 130.
he
If
did say
Frank
that.
Martin wants to meet me at 130, we can have that fight go."
He so I'll give Colbert this. Prior to the fight, he said after this fight, his next fight will be at 130. So it
He did
wasn't
say that.
just after the performance or anything. So I'll give him that. But now I don't really think he wants it with Frank Martin. But it's a weird dynamic. Why did you go to 135 if you're just gonna go back down, unless you're gonna kind of jump around and see how you feel. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm not a super big Rayo fan or anything, but I feel kind of bad for him. I keep it all the way 100. I feel kind of bad for him because it did look like he won that fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know, it happens. You know, you brush yourself off, you come back. Hopefully, you come back better. He'll probably have to learn. You know, when you got people in some of them situations, he had Colbert, like he had Colbert under like hellacious fury one time, and he should have
Yeah.
never let off. He should have, even if he didn't stop him there, like when he pulled back, he shouldn't have pulled back. You know what I'm saying?
At least try to get another knockdown. You got to put the foot on the gas. You gotta fight as if you're down on the scorecards,
Right.
right? Especially if Chris Colbert is the more popular fighter in name,
Mhm.
right? You sometimes you just can't leave it up to the judges,
Yeah.
and I can't even blame him because he felt comfortable enough. He knew he was up, so he kind of was like, "I'm doing, what I have to do to win this fight." And I think he just gave, the judges the benefit of the doubt, right? From
Yeah.
what we've seen. But sometimes that's the thing about boxing. We have, judges that may be intoxicated, right? Whether on cocaine, meth, heroin, or
Not
something.
judges on cocaine.
They sometimes they are on something that warrants them or that allows them to make these decisions, which is it's crazy to me. You know what they need to start doing? They need to start having these judges sitting on interviews and be like, "Hey, how did you come to this conclusion
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
round? What was you doing?" You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it's crazy because that can ruin someone's career. You know what I mean? Especially
Yeah.
nowadays with the Mayweather effect, with the O effect, when
Hmm.
you're consistently losing, it kind of like brandishes you in a certain light that you don't want to kind of be in. So
I think judges need to enter their score round by round, right? So, and I know they probably tally it down, but you need some kind of system where it's recorded. You know what I'm saying?
agree.
So it's like, all right, I gave him a 10, I gave him a 9, boom. But that those numbers are in. You know what I'm saying? And even if they don't show it to the public, it just needs to be somewhere where it could be some checks and balances on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like you each round has a slip and
Hmm.
you have to deposit the slip and someone has to confirm like you dropped your slip in each round,
Yeah.
and not withholding and starting erasing your answers because you looking at someone else like, oh, what, you know? So
Hmm.
it's blasphemy. It's blasphemy.